Chandra from Mysteries of Writing. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to press that subscribe button and the notification bell as I post videos about writing, writing process, and all things writerly and bookish. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on the book Select by Marit Weisenberg. And I'd just like to thank Nick Galley for giving me an advanced copy of this book in exchange for an honest review. So I'm just going to read the synopsis quickly so that you guys know a bit about the story. Coming from a race of highly evolved humans, Julia Janes has the perfect life, the perfect family, the perfect destiny. But there's something rotten beneath the surface. Dangerous secrets her father is keeping, abilities she was never meant to have, and an elite society of people determined to keep their talents hidden, and who care nothing for the rest of humanity. So when Julia accidentally disrupts the Jane's delicate anonymity, she's bound to the one place meant to make her feel inferior. Julia's goal is to lay low and blend in. Then she meets him, John Ford, the tennis prodigy, all-round good guy. When Julia discovers a knack for reading his mind and also manipulating his life, school suddenly becomes a temporary escape from the cold grip of her manipulative father. But as Julia's powers over John grows, so do her feelings. For the first time in her life, Julia begins to develop a sense of self, to question her restrictive upbringing and her family prejudices. She must decide, can a perfect love be worth more than a perfect life? So, yeah. So if you'd like to read this book, it comes out on the 3rd of October 2017. Basically, it's a really weird book, but it's awesome at the same time. So I'm just going to start off with what I didn't like about this book and then move on to what I did like so that we can end off in a positive note, because I guess I mostly liked it. So my number one pet peeve, I really hated the fact that there was insta-love in this book. So, you know, Julia and John just have this instant connection out of nowhere. Not for me. But it kind of was redeemed in the end of the book because there was an explanation, so I guess that kind of saved it a little bit. I kind of found it a little bit difficult to get into this book in the beginning because, well, we didn't really know much about the people, like this race of people that are highly evolved. We didn't really know much about them, and they were separated into different groups, but you didn't really know why. You knew her father had done something, but it was a little bit confusing at first. But I kind of take this as something that may have been intentional because Julia didn't really know much about her own life. She never met her real mom, and she wasn't part of the elite society, but her sister and her dad and her stepmom were. So she didn't really know much about her own highly evolved human race. And since it's written in first person, we only know about what she knows, so I guess it could have been intentional. I found some of the actions in this book a little bit over the top and maybe not so believable. And lastly, I didn't like how this book ended. It just seemed to end. I get that it's a series and it's the first book in the series, but it really felt like there could have been a bit of a better ending. I was just left hanging there. So moving on to what I did like about this book. I really liked the character development in this book, specifically with Julia, where she went from this pathetic little trample all over me type of person to someone who knew how to stand up for herself, and she wasn't so pathetic in the ending, just a little bit. As for the other characters, I guess you could say Victoria, her stepmom, kind of grows as well because she begins to feel guilty about the way she acted in the past, and her father kind of accepts her, so he also grew. I hope that's not a spoiler. And then Liz and Julia also grew together because they had a very broken sort of sisterly friendship, and in the end they're really close again. I really liked the plotline as well. It was really original and different from anything I have read before. Basically, I felt like this book was a page turner because I really wanted to know what was going to happen next, and there were a lot of like interesting scenes that kept happening, and yeah, so it was very interesting. And I really liked the writing in this book. The emotions, the settings, everything was written so well, and there were only a few sort of grammatical errors in the book, and the pacing was really good. Like when there were fight scenes, it was nice and fast paced, so you really felt like you were part of the action, and when there weren't any fight scenes or any dramatic sort of scenes, it was a little bit more slow paced, so it was really good. And basically, what I also liked about this book was that the publishers said at the end of the book that they only publish books that, and I quote, encourages teens to cheer or sigh, laugh or reflect, reread or share with a friend, and ultimately pick up another book. And basically I really feel like this book did do that, because I mean Julia has to accept who she is, and she also has to make choices while being aware of the fact that it also affects other people around her. So it can be a little bit reflective in that sort of sense. Well, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe.